Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first concurrent session of the day. That's a great idea, acknowledging faculty creativity and resourcefulness. Our presenters today are TAMI TACKER and Leslie Johnson from Purdue University Global. TAMI TACKER's teaching journey began over 25 years ago, with most of those years focused on online education. In addition to teaching math classes, she has served as a subject matter expert and course lead on multiple course revisions. She is responsible for keeping courses current and relevant and building a faculty learning community for the course. She earned her BS and MS in mathematics and has taught all levels of mathematics courses, both on-site and online. Leslie Johnson, Assistant Department Chair of Mathematics at Purdue University Global, has taught a variety of math courses in the traditional, blended, and online environment for over 20 years. She enjoys using her experience to help students and faculty overcome the challenges of an online environment by connecting with each other in innovative ways using current technologies to enhance learning and communication. Leslie earned her BS and MS in pure mathematics from Southeast Missouri State University. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. And on that note, I will hand it over to our presenters.
Thank you, Daisy. I really appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the IES for Friday. We're thankful that you were able to join us today. Just a little bit about us. Leslie and I are both in the math department. She's the assistant chair, and I'm one of the math faculty. But this talk isn't about math hardly at all. So even if you're not in a mathematics role or if you're not in the mathematics department, then hopefully this talk will be beneficial for you and you can take something away from it. What we decided to do was just pick out little things that faculty were doing and share it with everybody else. If you know a little bit about Purdue Global, we have a large number of adjunct faculty members. Those adjunct faculty members have some restrictions on what they do in their courses, but there is room for creativity and to try new things. Leslie, as our assistant chair, visits those classes on a regular basis just to make sure we're all doing what we should do. And that's where she got the idea for this session. And on the next slide, we'll talk about the title that we chose. We chose the Festival of Fantastic Ideas. It was inspired by those little things that Leslie saw that everybody did a little bit differently. Maybe one person had a really cool post. Maybe one person used inspirational quotes. Maybe one person did a really good job of feedback in the grade book. And what she realized was, since we can't go into each other's classes, that we didn't necessarily see what each other were doing. That's where the idea sprung up. So Leslie started making notes of all the little things that she saw that were really cool or a little bit different. And then we compiled this list of instructors that we wanted to come present at this first ever festival. We decided to go ahead with the festival, and we'll go over the logistics of it in just a second, but there were three main ideas. There were three main purposes for us doing this. Number one, it was for engagement. Whenever you're an adjunct instructor, you may have another job, you may have another totally different full-time job that's not even teaching. And sometimes it's easy to kind of feel lost in the crowd or get lost in the crowd. And what we wanted to do was make sure that our adjuncts felt appreciated and share some of their ideas, because they have really, really good ideas. We're trying to get everybody together and engaged. The second reason was to inspire others in the department to get creative by seeing what their colleagues had done. The brain might start working a little bit and thinking, hey, I could do that, but I'm going to tweak it just a little bit because it'd work better for my teaching style. It's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. And then some faculty members, they do awesome work. They are reliable, dependable. They are fantastic instructors. The students love them, but for some reason they're overlooked for those big awards like Faculty of the Year or, best whatever of the quarter. And we really wanted to make sure that everybody got some recognition for the good things they were doing, even if they didn't wind up winning one of those big awards. To go through the process, that's the next slide that we have. We really talked about this a lot and decided what it was going to look like first. We didn't want this to be our usual professional development type thing where one person spoke for a really long time and people in the chat were telling what they did. And I don't know, it's good and all, but we wanted this to be different. We wanted it to be fun and we wanted it to be short. So what we chose to do was have a 30-minute session every Tuesday in October. We grouped the faculty by what we wanted them to talk about, and we'll share that slide in just a second, but we went ahead and grouped them by what they were doing. We put them into categories. We decided who was going to present when. Then Leslie emailed all of them, kind of throwing out this idea and saying, here's what you've done in your course that was totally awesome. Would you be willing to share that with your colleagues? Maximum of 5 minutes, which for instructors, that's really hard to do because we like to talk. But we really did nail them down to the 5 minutes because we wanted it to be short. We wanted it to be little things, brilliant ideas, just really, really short and small tidbits. So we emailed that to the instructors. All of them accepted. All of them were very excited about it. So then we started promoting it within the department. We created some little flyers that we would poke into different presentations every now and then, send out little emails just to generate interest in the event with a focus on it being short and there being just little tidbits, little sparks for our colleagues to take away with them. Then everybody in the department got a Google Calendar invite, and Leslie and I co-hosted those meetings using Google Meet. We were able to record those so that anyone who didn't come or had an obligation that prevented them from coming could watch that recording and get the information. The next slide shows an example of how we organize things. This slide was actually on every single slide deck, all Tuesdays, all 4 Tuesdays in October, so that the people who attended or watched the recording could see, oh, last week was on discussions. I'm going to go watch that recording. Or, oh, October 26th is outreach. I definitely want to attend that one. And then we also went ahead and highlighted the instructors who were going to post or present each week. So that's how we divided it up. You'll notice that the first one is announcements, then discussions, gradebook, outreach. In announcements, in case that your school does not require you to do this, we are required to post an announcement at the beginning of each unit. We have 10 units. At the beginning of each unit, we are required to post one. It should be informative, maybe telling the students what they need to do this week. It needs to be helpful, maybe with some tips and tricks for getting through the assignments, and then also encouraging. And one of the things for the announcements, I think it was Michelle List, presented some awesome suggestions for quotes, for encouraging quotes and motivational sayings. And that was her little tidbit that she shared with us. And now to actually go through some examples, Leslie is going to talk about what actually occurred during the sessions.
Thanks, Tammy. So yes, the next several slides, we're just going to talk about some examples of what these faculty presented during these 30-minute sessions every Tuesday night in October. So this example here was from announcements, which was our first session for October. And this was Leah Murray. And I'm always impressed when I visit her classes by how she uses images to draw in students, because students don't like to read announcements. So we need to try to draw them in as best as we can, lure them in. And she does a great job of actually taking her own pictures and using them in her announcements area, which is unique. Her dog, even sometimes her kids, her sailboat, something from where she ran in a half marathon or full marathon. This one was super cute. She took a picture of her kids' shoes and she used it to tie in with lurking variables. And she says, do bigger feet cause you to spell better? And it had to do with statistics and causation, I think, and correlation. It was really interesting. It drew me in. I read the whole announcement, and I don't take time usually to read full announcements. I scan over them, but it drew me in. So of course, I'm jotting down notes. And this is one of the things that I emailed her about, when I visited her class and provided feedback, was I really loved this. And she gave some great pointers. This is her slide that she shared during the session. She said, avoid copyright issues, use images you took yourself like she does. She encouraged that. And then she shared some places where you can gather some Creative Commons images where you can just post them if you want to. It's always good to give credit, even if it's Pixabay or other websites, but you don't have to. So that makes it a little more convenient. And she even talked about alt text, mark it as decorative, or, if you want to put a little comment about what the image, how it's described, to make it ADA compliant, that's very important. So that was another thing that got snuck in during our sessions was, these pointers, not from administrators or course leads, but from faculty themselves, make sure you're doing this. So that was an added bonus. So here's another example, and I have to give credit to TAMI TACKER. This was hers. This was something I picked on her about. She developed these beautiful PDF announcement templates for faculty to use, so they don't have to start from scratch, reinvent the wheel. And faculty love these. When I visit classes, I see these often because they are very eye-catching, very well organized, great for students. And she is really good to remind faculty, you need to change this, you need to change this, you need to change this, because they're not the same for everybody, right? We need their live session that they hold weekly. They need to make sure they adjust that day and time. Make sure that they change that email address. Sometimes they forget to do that. And I see Tammy's email address in their announcements, and I have to tell them, hey, make sure you update that. So Tammy's not getting picked on by your students. Look for different dates and things. And so Tammy shares this template through Google Drive with faculty, and they can download it, they can make updates, they can save it, and they can use it. And she made sure that this was ADA compliant, which was really nice. Faculty don't have to worry about that. And typically they would take a picture of this PDF and then they would attach the PDF in the announcement. That way it was compliant as well. But we recently found from another full-time faculty member in the department a way to create HTML code to where this PDF is embedded directly in the announcements area. There's no scrolling involved. It's beautiful, and students can click on live links right there within the PDF that's embedded in the announcements area. It's ADA compliant, beautiful thing. So we just keep getting these added bonuses from sharing and collaborating. And so we really have enjoyed the benefits of, Tammy creating this template, sharing this template, going out to other faculty, they're using it, and they're coming up with even more innovative ways to enhance the template. So it's, like I said, added bonuses from this. This was from Greg Downing, and this is feedback, gradebook feedback. This was that theme for that night. And he actually is the one who inspired this all. I went into his classroom. He's a new faculty member, relatively new now. And he was doing something very unique and innovative in the overall feedback area within Brightspace. We use Brightspace by D2L for our LMS. In the overall feedback area, he was giving this table with categorical feedback. If you got this many points for this item, attended seminar, if you got this many points for seminar option 2, which is a Dropbox assignment, and so forth. He wanted to make sure that according to whatever points they received, they knew what they needed to address, or it gave them kudos, or it said, hey, reach out to me, that sort of thing. And he used a replacement string up at the top to address everyone by their name. And that's something wonderful about Brightspace that saves faculty time and energy, but not everybody has tried to use this yet. And so from hearing it from him, somebody who's just new on the scene, part-time, we hope it encouraged, inspired other people in the same boat to do the same. And he leaves his name and email address at the bottom of his feedback, which we really encourage faculty to do. We love to see that because students will grab that email and send a quick email from even their personal email. Sometimes it's just really convenient for them. So that's another thing that was nice to see Greg share, that admin and course leads, we really push that with our faculty. We really should do this, but hearing it from him could really help as well. All right, this one's a real simple. These are all simple but brilliant ideas. Like Tammy said, these are just things that people are not normally highlighted for or given credit for or given recognition for. But we felt it was needed and so helpful, and it was so appreciated. Let me just tell you, at the end of the session, we can talk about that more, but we had great turnout, very much appreciated. And we're getting a push to spread this outside of the math department to make it wider, because it did go over so well. But this is just a simple idea from Pam Cox, and this was our discussions themed session. She does a great job of pinning her posts, but something else she noticed was that in our LMS, we have two different views in the discussion board. One is reading view and one is grid view. And grid view is preferred by a lot of people, but you lose the discussion directions when you go into grid view. So it's almost like you have to have two tabs open: the discussion board directions under like a different area, and then grid view, where you can go in and post and reply and different things. And she said, well, I'm just going to post the instructions in grid view, so it's quick and easy for students to click on my instructions post. They can just have that window open and ready with the directions where they can go back and forth from grid view to that window with the instructions. And simple but brilliant. She and as an added bonus, she talked about pinning a post, how to pin a post, because not all faculty use that feature. And it's a great feature to make sure that no matter how students are viewing their discussion board, they can see whatever the instructor has posted at the beginning of the week. They can see that at all times, no matter what their view is. So that's a wonderful thing. This is Scott Van Zuden, and he uses these lovely little icons in his titles for discussion board posts and replies. And he uses them in announcement titles as well. Any place throughout Brightspace where you post a title, he has these icons, and they catch my eye every time. So I was definitely like, oh, adding Scott to the list of people that we're inviting to do, to share, because this is just so eye-catching. But like anytime he replies to a student in the discussion board, you'll see there in the middle of this slide, it says Mr. V reply with a finger pointing. And that really helps students, quickly see where he's provided feedback for student posts or their own post or anywhere else in the board. So very, very helpful for students to quickly identify if that's what they're looking for. So there, and faculty during these sessions, the chat would be like, oh, I really want to try that, or oh, I need to get with you to learn more about this. It was wonderful to see that kind of interaction and peer recognition. Peer recognition was a wonderful, wonderful byproduct of these sessions. This is Brooke Bernhardt, who does an excellent job of connecting students with one another in the discussion board. This is just some of her verbiage that she uses when she replies to student introductions, and our introductions discussion board that we often have during the first week, the first unit of a term, our 10-week term. And so I just really wanted to give her a shout out and highlight how she'll take students that, have different backgrounds, different, maybe they're in the same degree program or even, concentration for that degree program. And she'll really try to connect them together in her replies to their introduction posts. And then this one is one from me. This is for outreach. This has been a game changer for me. And we use Google Mail, we use Google everything. And I found Google templates in Gmail, and they have changed my world. So frequently sent out emails that I don't want to start from scratch, and I'd really rather not go somewhere else and copy and paste it into the email. I can create my template, and I can just go straight down to those three dots in the bottom right-hand corner, click on templates and find the one I want, and boom, it just populates right there. where I'm composing a message. So this was something that actually I had a faculty member reach out to me 2 weeks ago, and she said, I started using templates like you shared, and it's changed my world. So I was so glad, to hear from that person that they've tried it, they liked it. Not everybody likes it. It's not how everybody likes to do things, but if you could just reach one person and make their life easier and just enhance their experience, then it's well worth it. Also, we hosted an announcement contest, and this was kind of to lure faculty in to our very first session, which was focused on announcements. The theme was announcements, but we hosted an announcement contest to make things even more fun. And so we announced the winners at the end of the first session. And so it was a really fun kickoff session, because not only did we, have our first ever Festival of Fantastic Ideas 30-minute session, we also had that contest incorporated. And TAMI, she got third place for one of her templates. This is her template for her kind of introducing herself, which you'll see she's got a picture of one of her kitties. She's got kitties coming in and out all the time. She fosters kitties and she hates to see them go, but she knows it's part of it. But it just introduces her. Talks about, I love the map where it talks about places she's visited, places she plans to visit, and that sort of thing. Her education, very visually appealing. And so she got this third place award for her faculty information announcement, which we ask all faculty to include. Sometimes it's as simple as 3 sentences, their name, their degree, their email, and that's all they'll put in there. So this has hopefully inspired, and I have seen it inspire a few people to get a little more creative with that announcement. And then second place went to Heather Booth, and this was something she placed in Unit 4 of our business stats and quantitative analysis class. It was really cute. It was kind of Halloween themed. I think this actually landed during Halloween time too, but she's got a normal distribution, the bell-shaped curve, and then she's got a paranormal distribution with a ghost. It was really cute. But she likes to organize her announcements kind of in like boxy format, and she'll give different highlights in the back to draw attention to different things. She's really good about using bullet points. So it was great to give her both a shout out and second, she got voted second place for her announcement here for how she creates her unique announcements. Her weekly announcements do typically follow the same format. And then first place went to Mary Bruce, who was actually the person we mentioned earlier about the HTML coding and how she made that PDF just beautifully embed into the announcements area. That's all her. And so this was one of her unit announcements, Unit 1 for MM207, our statistics class, which she's the course lead for. So she kind of took TAMI's template and made it her own, and it's kind of what she told me. She kind of simplified it, and she made lots of different headers and bullet points, just made it her own. And so we were really excited that Mary got to get that first place for that announcements contest. So I think I'm going to hand it back over to TAMI now, and we're going to take questions.
Thank you, Leslie. One thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking earlier is with all of these little tidbits, we had the instructors send us their slides. We created one PowerPoint. Leslie and I would share it, and we would advance as they kind of told us to. That kept us on a schedule, and it took away the time that's wasted whenever, okay, I'm going to stop sharing and so is going to start sharing. And then inevitably, like if it's me, I'm the one having computer trouble that night. I'm like, oh, wait just a second, my file just disappeared. And it takes me a couple of minutes to share my file. We tried to eliminate that. We tried to streamline it. So this was very quick, very small things so that faculty could get ideas, tweak them and make them their own and improve their own courses. We don't have standardized announcements in our course. Each faculty member needs to make up their own, but we want them to be nice and professional, and we want the students to read them, just like Leslie said. We really want the students to read them. So we encourage our faculty members to be a little creative when we're developing those. And then you guys know about feedback. Students hardly ever read feedback, but some of them do. And we really want to be as clear as possible in our feedback. We don't take this the wrong way, but we try to get away with as little work as possible whenever we're doing the feedback, but still communicate everything we need to communicate. And so that's why Greg's feedback really stuck out, because it's simple, it's easy, it applies to everyone, but it's also detailed and it tells the students exactly what happened. With outreach, especially in an online environment, we are 100% online. We definitely need to pull the students in, especially if they start to be on the bubble, then we definitely want to pull them back in so that they can be successful in the class. Does anybody have a question or a comment, or maybe something in the presentation that has sparked your creativity for your classes or for your faculty? You notice the lantern theme on each of the slides. We tried to go with that festival idea and use free images that we didn't have to cite in order to make a continuous theme as we were presenting each week.
Something else I wanted to add to was that this year, our festival presenters, it was by invitation only. There was enough people on our list that we said, you know, we want to keep it simple and short. This is enough. We don't need to, you know, reach out and ask, does anybody want to share anything, and just open it up for people to kind of put a proposal in, sort of. But next year, we're probably going to open it up some more, just so that people who were like, man, I wish I could have presented on this, will have the opportunity to do so, because there's so many simple but brilliant ideas out there. And like I mentioned earlier, the other chairs in the School of General Education, which is the school that we're under, math department, when they heard about this, they said, are you going to be expanding this for the entire school next year? We kind of like keeping it in-house, and it could probably get really big and really hairy if we expand it, but we'll have to think that through, because you hate to leave people out when it's something that there's a lot of people interested in. So please use the Q&A area to pop questions or feedback in here for our session. I'm trying to think what other things we wanted to share.
Leslie, I know you touched on this, but when we were talking about the announcements, and it was actually kind of a complicated process. You had to create the announcement in a Word file, save it as a PDF, take a picture of the PDF, insert the picture, and then attach the PDF in order to make it ADA compliant. And, you know, once you did it a couple of times, it was okay. But for first-time instructors, they kind of struggled with it. I have to do what? Why am I doing this? They didn't quite get it. And so after we talked about that, and we found out that Mary had figured out a way to embed the PDF into the announcement without all of the attaching the image type stuff. It was awesome. It changed my world, but that's the collaborative spirit. That's one of the greatest benefits, besides just recognition of faculty who don't normally get recognized, but being able to say, oh, they're doing that. Well, you know, if I combine that with what I'm doing, or if we add this one little thing to it, it could make it so much better. I enjoy that. And our department is really good about sharing things. We have Google Drive where we share. Anytime someone creates a resource, we share it. Create a video, we share it. That's a spirit you don't find in every school. And little things like this encourage that collaborative spirit.
Exactly. I'm not seeing any comments or questions. Daisy, I was just wanting to make sure Q&A is open and available, right? Because I know chat is not. That was okay. We got one.
Q&A is open. Yes.
Excellent. We just have a lot of good listeners today. That's all. We're soaking it in.
Yeah, if anyone does have questions, do not hesitate to put them in there. There's nothing off limits, and I'm sure that these two will have wonderful answers. But in the meantime, I do have a question. So have you found that instructors have been more engaged in their classes by doing some of these things? You know, of course, you're wanting to engage the students along with the instructors, but how have you seen the reactions and engagement really, you know, flourish with all of these changes and updates kind of that you guys have started?
Tammy, you can go first. Have you had faculty reach out?
I think more faculty are using the resources that we provide. We try to encourage that, but especially if you're an adjunct faculty member and you have 50 other things going on, it may not compute whenever you kind of read over it. But when we went over this and maybe they attended, maybe they watched the recording, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So for little things like that, I think it did help our faculty members know what resources were available. I know in my classes, students really enjoy fun things and colorful things. So anytime I can incorporate something fun, like a colorful announcement or a meme, like the normal distribution, paranormal distribution, something simple like that, it just brings them in a little bit more.
I know personally, just visiting, like Tammy says, I visit faculty courses frequently just to see how things are going, to help them see where they're doing good, where they can improve, that sort of thing. And just for example, I checked in on some classes right before a term rolled out, and one faculty member in particular who doesn't usually go at much above and beyond, busy person, started incorporating her own images. She even made a unique infographic for her faculty information. And that's why I said, I'm thinking quite possibly what Tammy did kind of inspired this person to just explore and make their own sort of thing. So that was great to see. I see Amanda has a question. Who is the audience for the festival? The whole school, other departments, or just your department? So for our first annual festival, Fantastic Ideas, last October in 2021, it was just our department. So our department consists of a department chair, me as assistant chair. We have 6 full-time faculty members, 9 full-time adjuncts, which is a unique role, and then about 80 plus part-time faculty adjuncts. And so we had good turnout, probably 25 to 30 people each session, right, Tammy? So it was pretty good turnout, yeah. More questions, more feedback. What kinds of things do you do that might be similar to this in your departments or schools? Do you do anything live, like in a Zoom or face-to-face, or where you recognize just like the little things people are doing in the classroom, or little things people are doing otherwise? They're not little either. They're simple but brilliant is what I like to say. And also, while we're on the topic of just Q&A and discussion, did anybody do Hago right before this? Because I did, and it was fun. I did the desert. Our tour guide was amazing. Oh, we got a raised hand. Madeline said yes.
I did Panama. That was beautiful. We were on the water, and then we went into a little town.
Were you in a boat and then get off a boat? No,
we
walking?
were on land.
On land?
We looked at the water from afar. No, we looked at the water from the shore. And then we walked into the city, or it's not a city, it's a little village. We walked in there and then we came back out and looked at the water again. It was beautiful.
We were on horseback. It was really, really fun. I thought I was going to get sick and dizzy, but I didn't at all.
Christina said they do Faculty of the Year awards. And that's usually what we have, right? That's what a lot of departments do. They pick one person and recognize that person. And it's always awesome whenever you receive that award. The purpose of this one, Christina, was to really just say, hey, even though you didn't win that big award, you're doing an awesome job. Here's what you're doing that's awesome. Would you share it so that other people can also do the same thing? But yeah, awards, it's just a little something. It's just a little validation that what I'm doing matters and I'm doing it successfully, and people see me doing it successfully. And that's what we're trying to do, is make sure everybody got a little bit of that feeling.
It's so important that people know that the things they do matter, that they're noticed, that they're appreciated. Like Tammy said in the beginning, the Festival of Fantastic Ideas served many, many purposes. And I really enjoyed hosting it with Tammy. Tammy's like a fabulous host.
Wait just a second. Christina does lunch and learns. Ooh. I'm all about eating lunch while we're doing this.
I like it.
Christina, is it virtual or is it in person? That's an awesome idea.
I like that too.
And you said it's during the NDLA.
In person. Well, that makes sense. Like, do you buy lunch for everybody or does everybody bring their own lunch? I'm all about let's have some catering. Let's try out some new places, some new food. Oh, your department buys it. Oh, that's got to be so much fun. Yeah, with us being completely remote, completely online, it's a little tough. Although several of us are getting together for a conference coming up later this month. We're pretty excited, and we are going to go out to eat together at a pretty nice place.
You learn so much more about someone when they order something in a restaurant, right?
You do. You do. Actually, I think it's the appetizer. The appetizer speaks volumes. Yes. That's true. I'm thinking, Michael, that might be something fun we should do soon, a lunch and learn. You know, a lot of times department leadership will have like coffee hour or like, you know, some kind of virtual something or other. But like having an even more specific purpose might. Christina, it's actually NOS 22 in Atlanta. That's where we're going to be meeting up at. It's so nice to have face-to-face conferences that are available again. I've missed the face-to-face interaction a lot.
Right, especially since we're online. I see you in Google Meet, like I see you now, but it's different when you're next to them.
And our boss is really big about let's play some games while we're together. So maybe we'll play some card games this time around again. Hopefully so. Does anybody have any more questions? Any feedback? Tammy, you weren't as long-winded as you were yesterday.
Oh,
right?
Right.
You and Kirsten were much more long-winded yesterday during your 2 sessions.
We talked a lot yesterday. Yes, I'm all talked out.
Yep. What kind of this is always a good question to ask. What sessions have you been to this week that you would recommend for Tammy and I, everybody, to watch? Because we didn't catch them all. So what recordings should we catch? I'm going to do more Hagos. I do know that because as soon as I finished the one, I got an email with some recommendations, like a castle tour. I'm like, oh yes, I will take a castle tour. I'm excited. It was neat to introduce that. Our tour guide even said, those of you that are at the Hawks Learning, you know, thank you for coming. She gave us a shout out. It was really nice. Amanda, you liked it too. It was your most memorable takeaway. It was unique. That was brilliant on Hawk's part for pulling them in. Michael, yeah, too busy catching up from being sick. Yeah. Yes, Michael, one of our colleagues who's in the room right now, Michael Heron, he's giving a presentation at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so try to catch it. And today is the last day, right? Yes, Friday, yay.
Wow, Amanda, that's an interesting idea, doing Hagos with your students.
Ooh.
Really cool for a history class.
Yes, it would. Oh my goodness, ancient Egypt. If you have a course in ancient Egypt, the one I just went to, yes. Oh my goodness. She even mentioned something as far as like the ancient Egyptians, when they were like buying and selling, something that they wanted to have was beer and eyeliner. Like those were the top 2 things that they wanted. Yeah. And she was explaining how the eyeliner, how they put it on the bottom and the top of their eyes, it's to help with the glare from the sunlight. I had no idea. I thought it was just purely cosmetic. No, it was for glare.
Who knew?
I know. I think that's a brilliant idea. Oh, so she's teaching a global pre-calc class where they graph structures using Desmos. That's so cool. You could incorporate that into your math class. Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. Michael, I loved math history in college as well. I think my big presentation I did was on ancient Mayans and how they incorporated mathematics into their culture and their structures and different things. It was awesome. We could go tour the ancient Mayan ruins. Tammy, this last question is for you.
I actually just used PowerPoint, and you can format if you just do a blank slide or any of the formats, any of the layouts, you just choose a picture as the background. And then you can put text boxes in it or do whatever you want to do. So Leslie, will you go to slide 4?
Sure. I think I can do the little.
The different layouts in PowerPoint, that's all slide 4 is.
Just go back.
Is this just one of the layouts?
Wait.
In PowerPoint, you find a picture. Oh, it's the one with the join us every Tuesday in October.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Got you. This one. Thank you.
Yeah. Just choose a picture that if you do need to cite it, make sure you cite it. But if it's like from Pixabay or somewhere like that, then you just make it your background. You can adjust the transparency, you can adjust the coloring, whatever you need to do. But we tried to stay with the specific lantern theme throughout so that there was some continuity. I think for me, especially, that just helps if things that are the same theme have the same theme. That helps me out.
I really like the lantern theme too, because it was like, let your ideas lift off, let your idea light up somebody else's life. There was lots of different things that it was associated with.
That's right. The one on slide number 13, where I told about myself.
Yes.
That was a PowerPoint also. They're just PowerPoint.
Yeah, and I think
templates.
that's the one she was asking about, your introduction page.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that one.
So that was just a PowerPoint slide.
It's just PowerPoint slide. They have all kinds of templates there. They have some infographics that are really cool, and I would love to incorporate them. I just haven't found the right way to incorporate them yet. But there's some really cool templates on there.
Any other questions? These are some wonderful questions. And sorry, Tammy, if you're going to say anything, I just wanted to interrupt and say if there are any more questions or any just side notes or anything, please feel free to put them in. I think this has really turned into a great discussion here.
It's nice to have a little bit of time to just kind of talk too about whatever. I run out of time all the time. Daisy, I bet it's happened most of the time when you've been in these sessions, right? You run out of time.
It goes back and forth. Some people do end a little early so you can have these discussions and they kind of build that in. Others can talk, and I know I can too. I can talk to a wall. So, can talk and talk, and then they realize, oh goodness, I'm out of time and don't have time for questions or a discussion at the end. So, I find these really helpful and I enjoy that. I try and do that when I can, when I'm doing something like this, but I think that they always turn into wonderful discussions, even if you just find out something about someone else, what they've done or how they do something differently than you, just so you can kind of change your mindset a little bit and see how can I change the way I do things to maybe match that, or how would my students react to this? So I always find this type of stuff really interesting, and probably where I learn the most from these types of presentations and talks and all of that good stuff.
The one on stress, the keynote, the first day, there was one huge takeaway for me. She mentioned a TED talk by a certain person, and I went and looked it up, and it was really, really good. So, you're always looking for that one takeaway at least from something that you attend. And that was it. It was about stress, and the research that this TED talk, this person had done on stress was amazing. Like just stuff I'd never heard before, totally changed my perspective on stress. I need to share it with my daughters. It was good. It was really good.
Any other questions that anyone has before we start wrapping up? Because we do have one more minute. It's crazy that we've had this great discussion for almost 10-15 minutes, but any questions here last minute before we do, again, my video is off. I've been forgetting to turn it back on. But any last minute questions or anything before we do start wrapping up? This was such a wonderful presentation here by these two. Doesn't look like we have any other questions coming through. I do see one. When I'm the host, yes, Michael, you will see the Q&A when you're the host. Whoever is running your session will make you a co-host, so you have all the abilities to kind of see the Q&A and go from there. So you should be good to go. I know a lot of people here will probably join your session now that you've kind of plugged that. I'm glad we were able to plug that for you today. But with that, I really appreciate both of you guys taking the time to spend time talking to us about this. It's really been wonderful. And we will be taking some valuable information away with us today, which is always great. So thank you both. And so guys, the next concurrent session will begin at 12 p.m. Eastern time, which is right after our keynote. Not after our keynote, right before our keynote. You can view the chat. So I'm about to put something in chat for everyone of all of our concurrent sessions happening, along with our website and all of their descriptions of everything. While accessing that conference website, don't forget to swing by the exhibit hall to say hello to the Hawks team. And you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win the hourly giveaway. So that will be your choice of a 6-month subscription to Audible, 1-year subscription to Disney Plus, or a $100 Amazon gift card, which are all wonderful prizes if you ask me. And with that, we will see you at your next session. And thank you guys again so much for being wonderful today. And hope you guys have a great rest of your day at IES. Bye, everyone. Y'all have a great one.
Bye.